How does the organization plan to collaborate with healthcare providers, governments, or community partners to strengthen its?
If you look at how the structure of the system is, it's about collaboration. So even like the oversight committee, right, when we're looking at it, there's the government and 7 gens, and there's the finance and First Nations and industry and research and development, because industry needs to have that transition to sustainability. They need to be held accountable. They need the people that do the good stuff. So when we look at, like, if we were going to look at healthcare and education, I haven't built oversight committees for that, but those would be a subcommittee to the committees, because initially, when we're looking at who's sitting at the table, we want young people to be there, and because it's their future too. So those are going to have just to oversee to make sure that the mission is being followed and that we're not losing track, because there has to be accountability. And if only one person's accountable, you can get corrupt and then end up corrupting something that's not supposed to be. But if you have people that are all sitting at the table that all have to agree, and then there's some accountability, because then they have to go back to those demographics and say, well, what's the plan? Why are we moving this forward? Blah, blah, blah. Then we're going to have subcommittees probably that are going to have to do the research and development to make sure that everybody's getting the same equitable care as the next. So that's like a whole nother layer in the system, because it's not like, it's not a 3D model. It's actually like a 7 or 8D model, because there's systems within systems, right? So we haven't introduced that yet. That GGBI is strictly just introducing the structure of the system. I don't look at it as a finite model. I look at it as a living model, meaning that as we learn and as things change, we will have to adapt to meet our... So I don't really look at this as being cemented and it has to be a certain way. The structure's there, the skeleton's there. When we implement it, once all the experts are at the table, that when we'll be able to see exactly what it's going to look like, right? So there's going to be like an industrial layer from those subcategories that are going to have research and development holding industry accountable and helping them. Or the education department, there'll be a subcommittee that has people that deal with people with disabilities, and any of the shortcomings in the system, or where are we going, those people are going to be in the committee working on developing that. It's not going to be those experts sitting at the table. And if it's healthcare, then we need to have people that deal with, First Nation, healthcare, because we know there's so much that has to get changed there. I fought that system to get equal care and medication, and we only did that in 2020. So it wasn't that long ago. So, having the people at the table that are impacted by healthcare is what's going to be the change.